The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking your time out of your schedules to join us for our webinar. This webinar will be a deep dive into ISG insights for creating the workplace of the future. This webinar will be hosted by Murnal Ray, an analyst from ISG, and Beth Gabrai, VP of Process Leadership and Pre-Sales Solution Center for Stefanini. This agenda for the webinar will begin with Murnal taking some time to explain the expectations of digital workplace of the future, key findings of ISG Provider Lens report, and then we'll do a Q&A portion with both Beth and Murnal. And then if we have some time at the very end, we will do some Q&As from the audience. So let's get started. Murnal.
Thanks, Amy. Yep, thanks, Amy. Thank you for inviting me for this webinar. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on whichever time zone you are in joining this webinar. My name is Mrinal Rai. I'm the Principal Analyst at Information Services Group, a leading research consulting and advisory firm. I do research and write reports around digital workplace technologies and enterprise social collaboration. I write about vendor comparison, enterprise insights, and enterprise thought leadership. So today's webinar, we are talking about creating the workplace of the future. And so when we talk of digital workplace of the future, one word or two set of words that are very popular these days is called user experience. So a few years ago, we used to call end user computing as workplace services. Now everything is focused around user experience. The end user has become the focal point of consideration for all technological development in workplace services. So when we talk of user experience, it's a very broad term. And what actually defines workplace technologies, what actually defines workplace user experience, we have to be very clear. When we talk about user experience in terms of digital workplace, we are talking about the experience that the end user has with digital workplace technologies. So there are complicated technologies involved which contribute and enhance the end user experience. I'm trying to simplify them into three main buckets. What does user experience means for an end user? Simply, an end user wants a workplace that they can access from anywhere, anytime, and on any device and any platform that they are using. Simply, a workplace that knows the user and a workplace that helps them to do their job perfectly well. So these are a very simplified version of what defines end user experience. There are a multitude of technologies involved within these three buckets. So when I say workplace that can access from anywhere, anytime, on any device, it means that user is able to access the workplace applications and data wherever they go. They have a secured access to protect not only just the data, but also their identity. And the workplace technology provides an uninterrupted service for the user, irrespective of the environment they are in. They get an uninterrupted workplace delivery. So all the technologies that we have, say desktop virtualization, enterprise mobility, unified endpoint management, that actually provides a remote access to end users and secured access to end users and device management services actually facilitate this part of user experience. When we say workplace that knows the end user, we mean the workplace that knows the end user's role, the job profile that they have, the end user persona that they have, the computing resources that they require. And similarly, they knows the context and the behavior of the end user. What we mean by this is that when an end user raises a service request to their workplace support team, the workplace technology should be intelligent enough to gauge the context in which the request has been raised based on the roles, and they can prioritize the request and can provide efficient help. So all the intelligent service desk support, end user persona segmentation, usage of artificial intelligence, machine learning, cognitive automation, all these technologies they facilitate this portion of the end user experience. And when we say workplace that helps the users to do their job, we basically are talking about the technologies that can help users to connect and collaborate with their colleagues effectively. Not only that, they also help users to enhance their productivity, help them contribute to the knowledge of the workplace, and help them gain from the existing knowledge. So all the modern unified collaboration, communication channels, UCC services, UCAS services, you call it collaboration, the modern team collaboration, enterprise file sync and share, social intranet, all these technologies facilitate this portion of the workplace user experience. So these are the different technologies are becoming integral part of digital workplace. So when we talk of the workplace becoming that simple, so essentially what we are trying to say that workplace technology is enabled through all these automation and emerging technologies. They can act as a personal digital secretary for every end user. What we mean by that is that the modern workplace should be able to automate all the mundane and routine tasks that an end user is doing. It should be available all the time across all the channels. It should provide the contextualized access to the end users, provide collaboration and productivity. There is a small graphic of what a future workplace look like. It is just a metaphor. It's just a representation. It shows that an end user should be able to take their workplace wherever they go. So what we are trying to say is that workplace of the future act as a personal digital secretary, which means that this is a luxury no longer entitled to only senior executives. We know that machines eases the human efforts. So having a secretary was few years ago was still considered as a luxury that only the senior executives can have. But technology has enabled that mundane activities can be automated using workplace technologies. The digital secretary is a system that can leverage automation, AI, machine learning to bring workplace transformation. Now, here we are not talking about only a virtual chatbot. The entire workplace ecosystem, which knows the user and contextualizes his experience, it acts as a secretary. This system has the ability to measure the user experience with the usage of technology. Now, when we are talking about measuring end users and the ability to report it and do analysis on that, we come to a very interesting topic called experience level agreement, which is acronymed as an XLA. So XLAs, they are the first and key step we say towards building an experience focused workplace. So end user computing workplace managed services contracts used to be very focused on transactional nature, and they would have some traditional service level agreements and KPIs focusing on operational efficiencies, which actually would not really contribute to the end user satisfaction and experience, and which will result in dissatisfied clients and service providers. What we are seeing in recent times is an emergence of something called XLAs, where managed service providers are able to offer agreements, service level agreements, in which they can measure the end user experience using the usage of technologies, analytics, and automation. So when we say XLAs, there are some basic building blocks of XLAs. We say automation. I think we all know what automation is. The robotic process automation is a part of is an example of what automation technologies can contribute to a service level agreement. These are the measurable KPIs that these can generate. Even an automated ticket resolution through a modern service desk is actually part of automation enabled experience level agreement. We can also do workflow automation. Automation can trigger some processes. So measuring all these activities can provide and contribute to end user experience. Similarly, analytics, XLAs leverages a lot of analytics and makes an extensive use of that. Modern technologies enable the workplace support services to do a sentiment level analysis of the end users when they reach out to the workplace support over phone or over chat, and can gauge the extreme cases and gauge the immediacy of these requests. And similarly, we have proactive fixes where the system is able to find out if a system is going to fail or there's a resource use, high resource usage, and they're automatically fixing without the end user noticing that there was an automatic remediation of a ticket which could have caused. Device analytics is measuring predictive analytics, which can measure the performance of applications and devices and can provide a dashboarding to the system administrators. Change adoption is a very integral part of XLAs. This is something which really differentiates from the operational aspect of service level agreements. Many XLAs measurements include measuring the user experience score, and there are variety of ways you can measure the user experience through focus surveys or screen smileys. That's modern XLAs also measure the adoption rate of technology. So a very important part is the knowledge management. If there is a knowledge base which has the history of all the ticket resolution and what the tickets that can be resolved through self-help. So how effective is that knowledge base? If there's a way to measure that, that would also become a part of XLA. Even the percentage of tickets resolved through end user self-help become part of change adoption. And when we say XLAs, they are not really replacing the traditional service level agreements, and there cannot be an XLA without SLAs. So in addition to all the newer things, if we augment them with the existing SLAs, we provide a true experience measurement framework. So augmenting traditional SLAs like FCRs or call abandonment rate, NPS or CSAT can actually help enhance your XLA experience. So this is just a representative list of XLAs. There are many service providers, they offer different kinds of ways to measure these experience level agreements. And we'll learn more about that in the session today. So now, when we did, as part of our ongoing research on workplace services, we identified some key trends that are going to take shape in 2020 for as far as the digital workplace is concerned. So I'll quickly touch upon 10 things that we ISG research identified that can be of key importance in workplace technologies. Windows Virtual Desktop will be a key area of interest in this year. So the Windows, Microsoft recently announced and made it generally available in the year end. And many enterprises are already very interested in implementing that. It enables clients to go to a desktop as a service model on Azure. And the multi-session Windows 10 user experience is something that clients are maybe very interested in. We said device management will be scrutinized list. A lot of focus is being given on workplace users using SaaS apps, and the security of user access is now being shifted from a device level security to application level security, where users can access devices through single sign-on kind of features, which requires less scrutinized device level management features like remote wipe or device enrollment. We say unified endpoint management. Right now, when we measure and compare different vendors in UEM space, the key differentiator that they offer is how they can manage legacy devices versus modern devices on SCCM versus cloud-based MDM solution. We see the focus is rapidly shifting towards IoT devices as we see more smart devices entering into workplace. We also believe that enterprises will favor solution that they measure digital dexterity. This is a very favorite part of mine when you say digital dexterity. It's not same as digital literacy. So when you have smart technologies, you cannot have everyone using smart technologies, and you cannot believe that all the users will become smart. How do you differentiate between a smart worker versus a non-smart worker? And there are analytics solutions which can measure that, and there are already interest within enterprises to measure their end users' ability to work with these digital technologies. We also see that portal-based workplaces with workflow management are already gaining popularity. Every vendor you talk today is offering a one-stop shop portal-based workplace solution in which acts like an entry point for their digital workplace. Of course, it is integrated with a virtual chatbot, which they call intelligent personal secretaries. Analytics and collaboration solutions will garner business benefits. If you use modern collaboration solutions like Teams, Slack, Blue Jeans, Facebook, Workplace by Facebook, they all offer different kind of analytics about user behavior patterns and whether these solutions are effectively used or not. XLAs that we just recently learned about, we will see that the acceptability in the market is still very low, but if there are XLAs which can provide visible business benefits, I think enterprises are more than willing to invest in that. The smart device support will extend to complex physical workplaces. We see a tremendous interest in smart workplaces, smart parking system, smart meeting rooms, and not only that, even complex workplace environments like oil refineries, manufacturing plants. If smart technologies can be enabled, can be managed by the workplace technologies. When it comes to unified communication collaboration, there is a huge focus towards video. We did a recent study with a lot of enterprise customers, and there was hardly any client who didn't say that we are not interested in video. Everyone was very much focused in video collaboration, which is because it is a very essential part in remote working. And last but not the least is that there's a tremendous focus toward Microsoft-enabled ecosystem for workplace. You have the OS from Microsoft, you have the device management piece in Tune, or even the cloud Azure piece in Microsoft. Even virtual desktop is now coming from Microsoft, and of course, productivity suites like Office 365 is coming from the same vendor. We may soon, clients may soon start facing the vendor lock-in scenario. We're already seeing in the collaboration space where even after deploying an Office 365 element, ecosystem, clients are still investing in additional collaboration solutions like BlueJeans or Slack to foster the collaboration. You can read in detail about these predictions. We'll share the slides with you. Now, one thing to notice that all these predictions were done before the coronavirus hit the entire globe. So this is pre-COVID-19 predictions. What COVID-19 is bringing, we say a new normal. And what is that new normal is the ability to enable work from home quickly. Enterprises across the globe are focusing on having their end users work remotely from their home. The technology should support that. And it should also support an uninterrupted delivery of workplace apps and data. Self-help features like where end users can choose their own apps using a self-service app enterprise app store is something that would be clients would be interested in. Focus on bring your own X apps or device access policies will be of key interest. BYOD is a moving target. You can never achieve 100% BYOD, but I think clients would have no choice but look at possibilities to enable these features now. The most important thing is how do you enable a culture of remote working, especially for those who have not done it at a scale. This will be a beginning of a new normal way of working, and I don't think when we are done away with the coronavirus, we would like to go back to the older ways of working. ISG has recently released a research note on what top five actions enterprises should take in this scenario. I would encourage you all to go through that. I'll quickly touch upon the recent study that we did on ISG Provider Lens. That's a research program in which we compare different vendors and service providers for different technologies. We have been doing ISG Provider Lens research study for digital workplace for last 3 years and for different countries. And we do vendor comparison over quadrants. We do enterprise behavior comparison and client and providers best suited to serve those enterprises. So we did a study for digital workplace managed services last year. And there was some key findings that I would like to share with you. XLA, as I said, is a topic of interest for US enterprises. We also learned a few more things from the study that we recently conducted. We found out that we talked to a lot of enterprise customers, and what stood out was that usually the enterprise IT leaders would be dissatisfied with their managed service provider if they see the provider only as an implementer, someone who can only take orders and who is not an innovator. So if a provider is able to go to the XLA route, provide experience, I think that is something that would change the perception of the clients. And we also, a very important point was that most of the organizations now understand that they should not focus on tools and technologies that can easily integrate their existing workplace ecosystem, but rather focus on what the end users really need. Another important point is that I'm sure most of the people who are joining this call would know that many organizations are either already investing in self-help features like chatbots, vending machines, kiosk, or they are seriously considering investing into it. Of course, as I said, there's a growing interest in XLAs, though we have not seen a wide acceptability of these contracts because both clients and providers are kind of experimenting it, trying to figure out the best way to capture user experience and measurable value that these managed services can provide to the end users. But we foresee a strong focus towards these kind of agreements in the future. Now, when we compare a managed workplace service provider for different enterprises offering the XLAs, and if everyone is offering XLAs, how do we differentiate with them? So what the approach that we took was that the providers who are leaders in our research are actually adopting a differentiated mode. They're able to measure aspects which are beyond apps and data usage, which the more they can tie into the end user experience, because user experience cannot just be confined to if their apps and data are working. So the more variety that they can offer into these XLAs, the better placed they would be. So we did a quadrant study on managed services, workplace and mobility for mid-market in the US. And when we say managed services, it includes the service desk support, level 1 and level 2, workplace support services. Also managed mobility services enable clients to assess their BYOD strategy, help them enable that, the enterprise mobility management piece of it. And when we say mid-market client, what constitutes a mid-market is a client with less than 5,000 end users. And we consider mid-market as a very important client base because, as you know, all the changes and transformation in digital workplace has come from consumer world. And mid-market clients are the first one who and they're quick to adopt transformations coming from the consumer world. And so clients with considerable business coming from mid-market segments were positioned on this quadrant. There were multiple leaders positioned on this quadrant, and one of them was Stefanini. And and speaking of Stefanini, we have Beth Gebrai from Stefanini, the leader in workplace services. I would now would like to shift some gear and welcome Beth in this webinar. Hi, Beth. So we will be doing some Q&A with Beth about changes in workplace technologies and what is Stefanini's approach towards it. So with that.
Hi, Mara, can you hear me? I've joined.
I'll start a Q&A session. So Beth, automation-enabled secretaries. So we see automation in workplace has the potential of turning the entire digital workplace ecosystem into automated solutions which can take over the mundane and routine activities from users. Now, this kind of setup is supposed to have one interface with user, and it should be powered by cognitive intelligence to know, and understand the user's role and context. I know Stefanini has developed its Sophie platform to answer just that. Would you be able to share something around it?
Sure, absolutely. So Stefanini has our Sophie, which is our premier AI platform with broad capabilities, including omni-channel virtual assistant and a solution for challenges posed by the digital world today. Sophie is based on cognitive computing and AI with a focus on self-adaptation and both interactive and contextual automation capabilities. That's enabling to self-service or self-learning in a human-like interaction, and also continuous learning of Sophie so that she's able to interact much more customized to the end user. So this design allows her to assist across different businesses, verticals, or scenarios, and interact with various personas. With an omni-channel approach, Sophie integrates with different channels to provide a tailored customer experience. Sophie is always learning and has a multitude of capabilities. Actually, why don't we let Sophie herself explain some of these capabilities today?
Oh, really? Okay, let's have a look.
Yeah.
Wow, that was interesting. So you had Sophie with you for this webinar. Great. So, Beth, my next question is about quick visible gains in workplace transformation. Hope you can hear me. When we talk about,
I can hear you.
Sure. So when we talk about clients transforming their workplace environment, clients usually have a very ambitious goals we have seen, and nothing wrong with that. However, what could be unfair is to expect the managed service provider to help accomplish all those goals without having clients change themselves. Now, we have seen clients extremely interested in quick visible gains in terms of cost saving and improved efficiency when they go to a workplace transformation project. How does Stefanini handle such client situations?
That is a great question. The first thing I want to say is that in almost all of our managed services deals, we have a committed year-over-year savings to our clients, knowing that will drive operational efficiencies within our delivery. So that's the first point. In addition to that, we also sign up for a gain sharing opportunity in which Stefanini and our client partner jointly have to commit to achieve as we go through the transformation journey. I call it a journey as this is ongoing effort and not a one-time event, as you're aware, in these multi-year deals. To help them see the value of this process, we offer our innovative gain share roadmap and pricing model that enables this flexibility contractually, so we know about this as we start the engagement. And this is key, as when we are starting the partnership, this is visible from executive level all the way to the management level, so that everybody understands this model and framework. So this framework helps us manage also our clients' ambition versus agility, what you're talking about, right? In reality on the ground, including business priorities, because we know all clients want us to bring this partnership to drive innovation, but how? So we work jointly with our clients to prioritize the transformation and innovation roadmap based on their business priority, what else they have going on in flight projects, as well as our clients, and jointly put the roadmap as a measurable cost savings. Every quarter, with flexibility, this roadmap gets adjusted as needed. We commit to our client partner, our leadership and our ability to guide based on this experience. And in the spirit of collaboration, we promote co-creation of this reflected in our gain sharing model. So this is really something we bring to the table with a shared risk and shared specific set of results that clients also define kind of their role and responsibility in this, and they're committed upfront. And from our experience, true partnership really ensures a successful transformation outcome with a win-win for the gain sharing outcome for both companies. Hopefully that kind of gives you a picture of how we work in that environment.
It does, and it's really interesting to see the gain share model approach of Stefanini. As I said, clients are looking, because workplace investment is huge, and clients want to see those gains. And it's nice to see that providers like Stefanini are able to show to the client the difference between ambitious goals versus agility that they have, and using this approach. Great. Let's talk about user experience. There has been recent interest about delivering measurable user experience, that is XLAs, that we just saw in couple of slides ago. Now, leveraging analytics can help delve deep into what is working and what's not working for the end users, and from workplace technologies perspective. Now, what we have seen is that clients are looking some kind of dashboarding that offers real-time insights into these end user experience. A lot of providers are developing their XLA approach, and it would be interesting to see what Stefanini is doing in such to provide such insights.
Yeah, this is a hot topic nowadays, of course. There are a few things we're doing in this space to provide these types of insights. For instance, our support model, Workplace Anywhere, uses an understanding of personas combined with digital enabling technologies to understand and improve clients and user experience. You also brought up the Sophie earlier, our cognitive intelligent automation platform, which provides kind of a self-learning human-like interaction. And part of this is it leverages digital capabilities within the interaction, such as sentiment analysis and others during the interaction, to limit user dissatisfaction and to take immediate action in real time. So not to wait to look at the dashboard, but also really to take action real time. Our D-cubed solution also does the same thing, with really analyzing the whole thing from scanning the workplace, understanding the sentiments, really leveraging the analytics to help flag the problem areas in context, whether with persona or more business context as well, with proactive problem identification. So the user experience still remains one of the most difficult tasks, of course, in IT today, because partly due to poor visibility and how IT services and resources are really performing, and that being kind of a blind spot for a lot of clients. So this DCube solution really brings that visibility into play. And this is something we address with the solution and really monitor all the different aspects of the end user experience. And not only that, really giving it a score or what we call a measurable result so that we are able to translate this into analytics and really give the client kind of a measurable improvement roadmap. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. And then, obviously if you can measure something, you can improve it. And that helps us really create a roadmap into what are the elements that are impacting that user experience. So in one of our clients, I can mention that when we got engaged, they had zero visibility into their IT environment. And one of the things we implemented was some of these tools that we brought, as well as some of the processes. So we were able to really identify 30% of their end users had these what we call poor user experience, and we are able to measure it and create really a roadmap to solve a couple of these contributors to that poor experience. So we were able to bring those users up to an acceptable user experience level and really get the noise out of the system. So that was really a big win for us and for them to really, pinpoint it in a short amount of time and really solve those issues. And additionally, we focus on knowing our clients and users and personalizing their experience, becoming intimate, evaluating outcomes, and as a result, really improving the service quality. So user experience is a huge focus of ours and something that we're working on. And as you said, it's not something that's, replacing SLAs, but it's in addition to that we're working on today. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea.
Sure, it does. And I think the case study was really great. I think the more providers are able to showcase real examples of measurable user experience and how it is actually bringing business benefits and value, I think that is something that the market needs. That is something that clients would appreciate, because otherwise the whole talk goes in the air of XLAs, and without proper implementation and case studies, nobody would understand the impact. So thanks for sharing that, Beth. I have one more question about, since I'm from the provider comparison research area and vendor comparison area, so couldn't resist asking these questions, because workplace transformation is a huge market, and there are some very large providers who are globally spread, and they're highly experienced in providing managed workplace services. They manage landscapes for large enterprises for many years. Now, when Stefanini is kind of competing with them, what is the kind of differentiator you think Stefanini offer in this market to compete with such large global providers?
This is also a very great question for Stefanini. At Stefanini, we know that the workplace is changing today. It's not, the old physical workspace, and as I think you mentioned, it's more collaborative. There's a lot more technologies changing. It's a mobile. It's always connected. Anytime, any place is really expected, especially with the workforce changing, right? And this is a space where we continue to invest today and really make this a reality for a lot of our clients. Additionally, we continue to expand our digital workplace in delivery around the world, right? We have offices in 48 countries across APAC, EMEA, and within the Americans. And we position ourselves today as a smart alternative to the mega providers. So we are large enough to make our strategic and relevant investments and mature enough to perform and execute. We have the track record of delivering, executing, and providing flexibility to address the dynamic business needs of the larger organization with complex needs. We are also small enough today to listen, right, and understand our clients' need and close to the customer. Flexible and customer-centric, as reflected in our approaches to the co-investment, gain sharing, and innovation approaches in our agreements. And from an account structure perspective, our structure allows our empowered client-facing account team as a spark to the client. And we make most of the decisions quickly without having to jump through bureaucracy or leaders of the different service towers. Our flat structure allows this to happen. This is also the feedback we get from our engagement in real time, and most of the customers on client flexibility is the same feedback we get, that we're very flexible, make decisions quickly, and bring results in a very pragmatic way. So we feel this is a huge differentiator really for Stefanini today. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how we approach this.
Absolutely, it does, and being client flexible for client is something which gives you extra points when analysts position you on a quadrant. So that is a great point, Beth. And the reason I asked this question was that we have seen some mid-sized providers who may not be considered as a large provider providing very specific solutions, specialized solution in some areas where even the large ones are not able to do a good job. So thank you for sharing that. I have one last question which I couldn't resist given the recent pandemic. So amidst the concerns of pandemics, coronavirus, how is Stefanini prepared to support the existing customer? I'm sure your clients would also be interested to know, and everybody listening to this webinar would also be interested to know.
Yeah, this is the issue of the day, right? And something that I think is dear and close to everybody's hearts right now. We obviously are engaging with different clients right now and supporting them in that space. And honestly, companies, I think this is forcing the whole preparedness of the future workplace, which is, the whole any place, anytime work capability of the workforce. As you said earlier, not everybody has that's at scale, right? The ability to do that. And, with workplace and infrastructure support services, ensuring the new workplace and devices where you can really have no interruption in your workforce and productivity, where anyone can work from, the modern infrastructure, leveraging cloud, virtualization platforms, app store, so that they can have the same access in the office as they do remotely. And also, ability to even work from your mobile devices. So this is, I think, something obviously that is have been, something that we've been working on and something that we've been a forefront, but not everyone obviously is there. So something I'm sure to be a huge focus of our clients. But in addition, just for the short term and immediately, we're working with them in being the first line of defense from our level 1 service desk or support area, where some of them are sending their workforce home, and some of them have never worked from home. So how do they connect? What is the VPN? What is the security? So we're helping address the technology piece of it. But in addition to that, we're also answering questions around some of the HR questions. Information is changing on a daily basis, so they're leveraging us to really get some of the messaging out around some of the policies of the company. So we're, of course, flexible enough to quickly adjust and be able to support our clients. So this is also the other, piece on how we're, really participating with our clients and being flexible in that, in this urgent time, and really helping our clients, answering an IT questions, and adding some value. And in addition, our SOFI platform has the ability, obviously, to communicate with thousands instantly and sending very clear messages and directions and step-by-step in a human-like interactive way. So that's also another way where we're automating and helping clients guide some of this changes that are happening on a daily and hourly basis. So hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of some of the things we're engaging in right now.
Sure, it does, Beth, and I hope we workplace professionals would have a better reason to be excited about the traction in our space. Unfortunately, it's an epidemic which has caused enterprises to focus on these technologies and not something good. But I think all of you, because you're going to have a busy year this year, and I'm sure all your peers and your competitor firms as well. Deploying SOFI is a very, very good example, and I think this is the time when clients would be able to, analyze how ready they are to deploy an automated solution and how ready the end users are to accept interaction with these kind of approaches. Thank you very much, Beth, for sharing the thoughts with me. Amy, I think we finished a bit earlier today, but we are happy to take any questions that audience have.
Great. So I just have one question so far that came in, and I don't know exactly which one of the slides he was referring to, but the question is, are sentiment analytics related to, or is it the same thing as speech analytics?
So that's a good question. Of course, sentiment analysis. I can take a step, and Beth, you can add if you want. So that's a good question. Sentiment analysis is part of the analytics and automation solution that service providers are offering for workplace support services. Of course, the key thing is text. So right now we don't see that much acceptability for voice-based interaction of end users with support services. Few clients have adopted that, but most of them have just opened up for a chat-based support. So right now, the sentiment analysis scope is mostly limited to analyzing the text-based input that end users provide to workplace support agents, and based on the text that the users enter, the kind of words and phrases that can ascertain whether the user was happy, frustrated, or eager to get their tickets resolved. However, there are solutions which can also, I'm sure everyone would know that there are a lot of solutions which can analyze the voice pattern of the user when they are on a phone. They call a service desk agent, and there are solutions running in the background when they talk to the agent, and the kind of anger, frustration they have towards the ticket. They can analyze that. Those are also helpful in training the service desk agents. So I would say mostly it covers both text and speech. I mean spoken word. But the acceptability right now is more towards text than voice. Beth, do you want to add anything to it?
I think you said it perfectly. Absolutely. So any kind of, whether it's information already recorded by end user or in a chat, real-time ability to, in our Sophie solution, we're definitely leveraging that and, connecting Sophie to a real live agent if there is, that frustration that we're seeing within the user, and we're able to sense that. But as you said, also in the voice, there are recordings or voice patterns also where you can sense some of those tones. It's not 100% perfect, but it's one input along with other quality points and data points that we use to analyze kind of the directionally correct the voice of the client, right? The voice of the customer.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, that this is just one of the parameters that you consider to ascertain the voice of the customer, right?
Yes.
We also have one more question that came in, is how many companies are currently using the Sophie platform?
So I'll answer that. This is Beth. We have currently about 80, and the number changes. The last time I checked was about 80 companies globally using Sophie, and maybe more now. But yeah, globally, and we have also over, I want to say, I'm trying to remember the other data points I had on Sophie from an end user perspective. About 1 million, I think we do 1 million transactions in Sophie per month, if I recall correctly. So hopefully that answers the question.
Great. Thank you so much, Beth and Mernell. Thank you everyone for joining. We don't have any more questions. We will be sending out today the deck and the recording, so you can have that as reference to look back if you want to review our webinar. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.